Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hey guys.
It's good to see some friendly faces here. Welcome to our July live stream. Time really flies by. We're halfway done through the year. Man, it doesn't feel like it.
My God, yeah, 6 months already.
hmm uh, so,
Yikes.
I know, right? So welcome, everybody. We hope you're going to have a great show with us. We got some fun stuff planned for you today. Mostly some Beyond footage and what's happening with the beta. We have Nisa, our writer, with us today. Um,
Hey
she's
everybody.
Oh yeah, introduce yourself. Say hello, Nisa.
Hello, Nisa.
Very nice. Um, Nisa's super cool. She does a lot of the research and writing on our team. She's done so much work for the Beyond, and she's going to share some of her research secrets with us on stream today. And also, you may notice, oh, sorry, you may notice that Bradley isn't here with us today, and that's because he's moving on to greener pastures. So we just wanted to have a quick moment to say thank you, Hype, for everything that you've done for us, and we really appreciate all of the work that you've done. We send you off into the sunset, and we just have a great time working with you, and you've been a great presence on the live stream. So,
Yeah, it's been great having hype, but he's moving on, focusing on Triband Studios, which is the game company that makes What the Golf. So I don't know if you guys have played What the Golf, but he's a community manager over there. But yeah, hype. If I don't know if you guys were around for Mesozoic Mania when we had, I think, did Archie do a talk
yes,
for every
Archie did a
contest?
talk in the chat, so did The Rock.
Yeah, and it was hyped up a lot with the Archie thing, and the Rock. I still don't know who the Rock was, but yeah, we don't want to reveal who the Rock was.
Yeah, so
Hype was a very good manager
Yeah.
for all of our characters who've done AMAs.
definitely. I agree with that. So, for any of our regular Twitch viewers, I recommend giving Hype some hearts in the chat. Hey, Hype! He's in the chat
Hey.
right now. Hey!
Yeah.
Good to see
Hey, what's
you.
up, hype?
Hope you're doing well. We're just giving you a proper live stream send off. So, thanks for all your hard work on the live stream with us this past year. It's been great.
Thank you so much.
So, moving on, we have some fun stuff to share with you about the beta testing that we're doing. It's currently in open beta. I'm sure a lot of you here are already a part of it, but we can just do a quick recap of what's happening in the beta with this past patch that we released. So let me pull up our latest dev diary.
Yeah, so Beyond Beta is in full effect. So I hope a lot of people have already had a chance to try it. I think we opened it up to everyone about 3 weeks ago, and our goal has been to try to get like a new update every single week. Um, uh, and for people that are interested in joining the beta, you can play it on Steam and iOS by just following some of the directions that we'll share later. But yeah, so we have been pretty busy. So let's see what is going on this thing.
Well, I know a big thing that is happening that I think a lot of people are excited about is that we added additional ranks. Yeah, you can progress just a little bit further into the solar system, so there's a little bit more things to do. Takes a little bit longer to beat the game all the way through. So I know progression's been a big thing on our plate.
Yeah, so people that are playing the beta, one of the biggest things we're trying to do with this open beta is to get the overall progression and tuning to feel really good. So you may have noticed we do reset people's progress about once every week or once every 2 weeks. And the reason we have to do that is because we're changing all these prices in the economy and like changing the mission structure. So we need everyone to kind of start at the very beginning, and then the beta testers like racing through it, and we're seeing how long it takes to unlock different things, and we're making adjustments to make the experience like nice and long, but also as fun as possible. So when we did the first beta test a few weeks ago, we noticed it was like maybe a little too short. We had some players that were beating it in like an entire day. So we have to figure out how we can like make the content last for a little while. We know people like the beta testers are a very exclusive group of players, but when we release it to everyone, we want to make sure that they have more than just a day or two of gameplay. So that's what that's the process we're working on.
Yeah, and I know some people are blowing through their Darwinium. When we do reset, sometimes depending on what's happening in the patch, we give you some fresh Darwinium, but usually it's not as much as you started out with. So we do recommend being sparing a little bit if you can. So I know it's easy to just want to spend away, but just hold on to your cubes a little bit if you can.
Yeah, because if you do buy like some of the mid-sequence stars or giant stars, like in that picture on screen, you'll get cards, but those will get reset after the 2 weeks. So we do thank you for testing that feature, but also because we know we are resetting people's progress, we're also giving, I think, 50 cubes every time we reset it. So you will get some stuff to help you test the thing. Oh man, these are so on the screen right now. You're looking at, we've been messing around with the dark matter currency icon. So dark matter works a little bit like mutagen, and you can see this update of that icon. So we originally had one ring that was just kind of a bubble, but now we added a few bubbles on the side to make it look a little more mysterious. And in the boost tab there, you can see there's different icons for like larger quantities of dark matter.
Yeah, our technical artist Olga has been doing a really good job with all of the redesigns. I know this is the third time we've done a little iteration from the dark matter, but I think she's doing a great job. This is my favorite one so far.
Yeah, and yeah, so the boost tab, we're also like, okay, cool, yeah, we got the satellite in here. So this is the past few weeks if you were in the beta, you might have noticed that a lot of the cards, like the epic and rare cards, had all this dinosaur stuff. So the Earth, it said one of the categories was like a carnivorous Earth or carnivorous planet, because it was a trait from the dinosaur section. So we cleaned up all the cards, so now they're really specific for space. And now so if you're playing now, you'll notice we fixed a lot of those bugs. And this week and next week, now we're starting to work on some of the boosts. So one of the first boosts is actually the quantum charge. So this is a satellite, I think it's Juno, flying through the tree. So we will have like that quantum charge mechanic to give you a boost. I don't know if it's going to be a satellite. I think it might be a meteor, because we don't really have satellites in the planet at the moment, but we just kind of threw that in.
Yeah, we're still getting there with the quantum charge, because I know it came in a little bit later compared to the other stuff we've been adding into the beta. But if you guys would prefer a satellite or a meteor, let us know. We're always open to hearing your feedback. So that does anyone have anything else to add before I move on?
I can also just give a preview of some of the boosts we're adding next week. So if you're beta testing, you may notice there's this thing called space time, and there's like a slider that lets you speed up the universe and slow it down. This has no effect on the economy, but we really want to show the solar system like move around, because it's fun to see. It's fun to see those orbits, and you really get a sense of like how these planets move and the overall speed of the orbits. So we're going to add some boosts. There's going to be like a time flux thing, but instead of time flux, which kind of warps everything and makes it go fast, this will actually speed up all your planets for like an entire minute. So if you use that boost, you'll get to see your universe kind of go really fast. So we're trying to connect the economic production to the visuals that you see in the garden. And then we also are going to be previewing next week, I think next Friday when we release the next beta, we'll be previewing another boost that lets you charge up one specific planet, like maybe Mars, and then Mars's orbit will go like 10 times faster. So everything else will be going the same speed, but one will be like racing around the sun. So those are two things to look out for in late next week's beta.
Very cool. I'm looking forward to it. But speaking of this week's beta, I know we do have a couple things that we'd like to share with you guys. And one of those things is we've internally in our team, we've been heavily debating about the size of the planets. Um, I know our head art director really wants to keep things like more scientifically accurate or believable. So that would lead our planets to look on the smaller side. And this is just a couple examples that we have for you on this graphic here. NASA offers a very true to scale representation of the solar system, while the scope one shows kind of a more toy-like example. And then we have ours, how it currently looks on the right side. And in my opinion, I think the sun is way too big. Things are not to scale there. So we definitely need to work on it a little bit. But we wanted to hear from you guys what your thoughts were on that. I know it's a bit of a loaded question, but if there's anyone who is like super excited to get like scientific accuracy with their planets, or they prefer for them to look pleasing to the eye so that they can take good photos, that kind of feedback means a lot to us. So sit on it. You can let us know throughout the stream.
Yeah. So, yeah. And if people that are looking at it right now, I think kind of it's like the more NASA, where the real question is like, how big are the planets? Should we make the planets the actual size relative, like what they really are in the universe? Or should it be more like kind of a toy scale? If you look at the one that says scope, these are all solar system viewers that you can see on the internet. But in this one, the scope one, it has kind of more of a, you can see the planets, they're all visible, but it's not the exact representation of the sizing. So we are curious to see if people prefer like something that's a little more toy-like, where you can see everything and you can take screenshots and other planets will be in there, or something that's very, very like literal to the actual thing.
Yeah, I know we strive for accuracy a lot of the time and try to make things just look as real as possible. But because the sun is just so huge, and compared to it, the planets are so small. And when you look at the distances in space, they're really far apart. So when you try to do things on a more realistic level, you sometimes end up with these itty bitty little dots that are very far apart from each other, and it can be harder to see the details on the planets. So it's important to us to know what's kind of more important to you. Is it being able to see those planets and really get an idea of what they look like on their surfaces and all their moons and their distance from the other planets? Or is it more important to you to have a more accurate view of sort of the size and distance of everything and the vastness of space, as it were?
Yeah, so I'm seeing a few people say like one person says like Nate Red, yeah, I'd prefer to have good photos. I think Adidas said maybe we should have a setting to switch it back and forth.
That's what I want, but that will take the longest to implement.
Hellraiser says I'd like it to be as real as possible. I think it'd be cool, but maybe add a setting for it. Another person, clean yeah, while it would be cool to be as hyper realistic as possible, I know it's probably extremely challenging. Well, making it so the toy effects happen when you take a photo.
These are some great suggestions.
Someone mentioned earlier that we could have a slider to change the sizes of the planets.
You decide how large your planets are.
Yeah, but if we were going to ask anyone, we wanted to ask the Twitch community first, because we know you guys are very dedicated fans and we really appreciate hearing all of your feedback in the chat. So if anyone has any thoughts about it later on, again, we're always open to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, it does seem like people are kind of divided about it, and
so are we.
Yeah, so I guess a toggle might work. It does feel a little bit like it's not really part of the game. You go in the options menu and then you're like, I want realistic planet size, or I want toy planet size. But maybe that is the way to do it.
That would be really cool if we could add that in the game. I know I'd be a fan.
Sir H says a slider for how large the planets are could make them as big as possible.
Sounds like we'll have to sit on a slider then. We'll sleep on it. And then before we wrap up news about the Beta Beyond and move on to some really cool research that Nisa's been working on, we also wanted to share what we've been playing around with on the tree. We've been exploring different background graphics and how the tree layout is going to look. I know we've been working on developing a grid system to make the information and the generators more organized on the tree.
Oh, this looks great. Thanks for grabbing a photo of this. Yeah, so if you are in the beta, you may have noticed this week when we posted it, the tree layout changed quite a bit. It's now spaced out. There's a straight line throughout the entire thing. And that straight line is supposed to represent kind of the distance from the sun. At the bottom of the screenshot, you'll see this blue text that says 1 AU. And an AU stands for astronomical unit, which is refers to basically one astronomical unit is the distance from the sun to Earth. And they use this because it kind of gives you a sense as you move further and further away, a sense of distance. But this tree layout is you'll just be moving, unlike some of our other trees where you got like up or down or left and right. This one is all going from left and right. As you go further away, you go deeper and deeper into interstellar space. Then what else? There's also, we also illustrate different sections. So this is the inner solar system, but as you go further out, we're trying to define like the different sections, like outer solar system, things like the Kuiper belt. We'll be doing that by using different backgrounds and some effects. Like behind the asteroid belt, you'll see some particle effects for asteroids. So to make it a little more immersive.
Yeah, I really like the asteroids. I think that's a neat touch. I do know that we need to play around some more with like the textures in the background, but I do like what direction we're heading in with it.
Yeah, so next week, Olga, our technical artist, she's going to be just focusing on this. So yeah, be prepared for this to change a lot and hopefully look even better.
Awesome. So for anyone who is interested in joining the beta who hasn't so far, I can link how to join it. We have a form for you to be able to fill out. I can link that form at the end of the stream during the Q&A session. So stick around until then, and I'll be able to answer more how to join beta questions then.
Yeah, I can, and yeah, it's also, if you go to Reddit, there's a link that has the descriptions. There's a whole form that explains how to do it. If you're in iOS, it's really easy. You can join Test Flight. If you're on Steam, you just have to go to our Steam page. There's information on the beta. You can try it. If you're on Android, it's a little more annoying because you have to fill out a whole form, and then we have to like let you in. So it's a Google Play process. So we apologize for anyone that did sign up on Android and they're waiting. Hanero, who's our lead QA person, he actually has to input each beta person one by one, and he's been doing like 50 a day. So I think he added like 1,000 people to the beta. So he's been really busy doing that. But I know if you didn't get in and you're trying to, it can be a little frustrating, but just be patient.
Yeah, we really appreciate everyone who's been giving us feedback so far in the beta. I know Nisa has been helping out with that as well, just communicating with people who are interested in joining. And we're really excited to see everyone's enthusiasm for it. It really lifts us up and keeps us going while we're continuing development.
Someone's just asked in the chat, the next beta update, so we are resetting people's progress. So if you are in the beta, there's a little news button, and the news button has the latest news, but it also shows when we're planning to reset the progress. So it says that we'll be resetting people's progress next Thursday. It might actually be on Friday, but that's also when the next beta will drop. So for folks that are playing, they play the rest of the week, but on Friday, you're going to get a new update, but your progress also will restart from the beginning.
So moving on, I know I would really love to hear what Nisa has to share about her research process and just our little secrets as to how the process develops over time. Let me just pull up what we have to share for it.
Yeah,
Well,
so, oh, sorry.
You're good. Go ahead, Nisa.
So this is the first ever sort of visual map that I made uh, for the first development we started doing on the Beyond. Um, this is in a piece of browser software called Sketchboard that we've been using since around when we did the Mesozoic Valley. I think that was the first thing that we started designing using that. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about the ways that we do research and talk about adding new content to the game. So when we decide what we're going to do as the next expansion, either as something really big like the Beyond or as like a new branch like we did with the reptiles and birds or with the mammals on the main tree, generally we start obviously by discussing it as a team. We get lots and lots of requests for what people want us to do and add to the game, but we always have to talk about it, obviously. And Andrew has to give the go ahead, and he is the director. And Andrew has a lot of ideas as well about what we should add to the game. So I know that the Beyond is something that Andrew has been very near and dear to Andrew's heart since pretty early on in
yeah.
development. Is that right, Andrew?
Yeah, I'm super excited with the planets. I guess with this one, Nisa, we kind of like from a high level, we were like, we know we wanted to add the main planets, and then we started trying to pick out which moons were there. And then on the gameplay side, we'd be like, okay, we need a certain amount of traits from some of the things, and then you would have to figure out what's interesting about different planets.
Yeah, when we first started thinking about the Beyond, we knew that obviously we had to start from the beginning, and the beginning is our solar system. So the first things that we were just focusing on was just creating just sort of a basic outline of like, well, what's in our solar system? How does everything come about in our solar system? How is the sun born? How were all the planets formed? What order did they form in? What order do they orbit in? All of these little details and things that are just sort of like just the basics of how the solar system works. And so based off of that, we start thinking about what we can use for generators. Obviously here, most of the main generators in this part of the game are planets and other sort of big prominent celestial bodies. And then once we start looking into that, we can figure out what our trait cards are going to be. So the Beyond works with a system of generators and trait cards, and by researching the planets and the other sort of space objects that were going to become the generators, we were able to figure out what the traits were. And those are all things that are just sort of things that make each planet special, mostly. So things like Mars is red. Why is Mars red? So that's how you get into traits like the oxidization of the surface of Mars, which is a really cool and unique thing. And one of the things that's really exciting about doing research for the solar system is that we have a really cool, diverse solar system, especially compared to other ones out in space. All of the planets that orbit our sun are really unique and really interesting, and they all have these really different traits. So it really it helps us to sort of create an interesting and fun experience for the player just by virtue of the fact that the solar system is already so cool on its own. So half the work is already done. But generally, we use sources like scientific journals. I know also scientific magazines like Nature, National Geographic. A lot of official databases and sources like NASA have tons of really, really good scientific information, the most up-to-date information. So I know NASA's databases have been a huge source of research for me while I've been working on helping to build the content here. We've also just been taking pretty extensive notes. I know that this version of the Beyond that we're looking at right now is kind of different from the version that we eventually ended up with. We changed a lot of things, and the deeper we get into research, often the more stuff we'll uncover, So what starts as the first version of the map or the branch often gets complicated and changed just based on the new stuff that we're learning as a team as we do more research into these generators and traits. So
You're getting a lot of questions about this life cycle of the
yeah.
star thing here.
Yeah, so
What is that?
so the life cycle, sorry, I was just reading these. So the life cycle of the star is that was something that we wanted to, we knew we wanted to incorporate the way that stars are born and die into the beyond somehow, whether that was on the branch itself or whether that was a sort of a different mechanic. So that's just kind of a rough outline of a very rough outline of the process, of a star's life cycle, that I just kind of had in the background there. I know currently we've been using for the boxes that pay out rewards. We've been using the different phases of star life,
Yeah.
and I know that we've been using that there.
Yeah, we had a really big debate about, well, so stars, I don't think we thought about it when we started this expansion, but like the stars are kind of everything. Like we have constellations where you're unlocking stars, the sun, we're all rotating around the sun, and then if you go out into space, it's all about different sized stars. So we have our like the geode equivalent, like where you get enhancement cards. Those are also stars that you get. So we were trying to figure out like how do we like what class of stars do we use, and I think we have a dwarf star, a mid-sequence star, and then a giant. But there were a lot of options that we could have used for that.
Yeah, the life cycle of a star. Someone points out in the chat that the way that I have it outlined here is not exactly how the life cycle of a star works, and they're completely correct. As I said, it's a very, very basic form of sort of the way that a star is born and dies, but that cycle is really complicated. There's a lot of complexity in the ways that stars are formed. There's so many different kinds of stars. The life cycle of a star has a lot of phases, and that's something that I know we're really interested in, and it's something that informs so much of the beyond, is just the idea of sort of the star as the source of life in the universe. And it's definitely an important concept that we knew we wanted to tackle in some form.
Yeah, and I think one of the big challenges that we have with the research is a lot of these concepts are really complicated, and they don't fit neatly into like a game piece or three little boxes. So sometimes we'll have a lot of discussions or debates about like what box can we fit this research into a certain box, or like how do we simplify it so it fits in the game. I think we were talking about, could we use nebulas to form stars, but then we learned that like a nebula actually has a lot of stars that get formed there, and then there's something like a star globule or something that we learned about.
Yeah, globules.
So a lot of times we'll think it's really simple and we can just like connect the dots, but then when we do more research, we're like, oh no, we're actually this is not going to fit.
Yeah, on the one hand, it makes our lives harder because what we thought might have been a linear progression is definitely not as linear as it could have been. But on the other hand, it also does give us a lot more content to work with in the end. So it can shut some doors behind us, but it can also open up a lot of possibilities.
Yeah, if there's one thing I know, it's that our research process is ever changing. I think it's safe to say that even though we're sharing this sketchboard tree that Nisa drafted up, it's still changing from this, and we're always adding in new content or changing it up. Like Andrew mentioned before, we've had stars represented throughout all like the parts of the beyond, and just figuring out how to represent them differently while also all still being related to stars is very difficult. So I think, like, compared to mammals and Mesozoic Valley, we're definitely experiencing some more challenges in the research process than before, but in a really cool and fun way.
Yeah, the branch that forms the beyond has evolved significantly since we first began work on it. It's changed a lot. and it's still changing. We're constantly tweaking things and moving things around, and just trying to make sure that things are as accurate as they can be, but also fun to play. So finding a balance between uh, those two sort of factors is definitely one of the bigger challenges, but we keep finessing it more and more, and it keeps getting better and better.
Certainly, I couldn't agree more.
But
Well,
yeah.
how would you feel about sharing a little bit of information about the late game uh, process and some of the information that we've decided to include there? I know we get lots of questions from people asking about when we're going to be adding in aliens and that kind of stuff. So I think just
Yeah.
maybe some clarification here would be a good thing to do.
Definitely. Yeah, we get a lot of people asking about UFOs and about aliens. And I know that when we set out to just start work on the Beyond, we have a lot of ideas about stuff that we'd like to include here. But just in terms of getting stuff done, we knew that we would have to kind of break all of our ideas down into different approaches and different groups. There's so many different parts of the science of space that you can approach. Like, we've got things like obviously what we have here, which is just the formation and composition of the solar system. We've got stuff like human exploration of the solar system, the history of that, things like physics and different, physics discoveries. So in the end, we settled on starting with just the physical solar system, with this branch of sort of celestial bodies and the bodies that orbit our sun. And initially, we were going to develop a branch of human exploration that kind of talked about some stuff about the history of astronomy and some stuff about the history of humans going out into space. That was going to be simultaneous with this, but it became very complicated and kind of messy pretty quickly to be doing these two different approaches at the same time. So we decided to just focus on the solar system for now and try to make that as good as possible and as comprehensive as possible, so that we could just really knock it out of the park. We do have more content and ideas that we do want to, I think, approach later, possibly. But for now, this is what we're focusing on primarily, and this is our main focus is just the physical solar system at the moment.
Yeah, and then those other two branches that you described are well, one is like human astronomy. Is that
Mm-hmm.
like
So
yeah? What is
there's
that?
yeah, so there are kind of two phases of humans' understanding of the solar system throughout history. And the first phase of that is astronomy, where humans are observing space from the Earth. So that goes all the way back to the first discoveries of other planets back in like ancient Babylon. The first times that people realized, oh, that's not a star, it's moving. That's a planet. That's something like Earth, but out in space. And that's back in BCE days. And you have throughout all of human history, people have been studying space and looking through telescopes and just observing space with the naked eye, all the way up to when we finally start observing space through like advanced technology with things like radio telescopes. And eventually we get into the second phase, which is we actually send machines out into space to study it from space itself. And eventually we sent out humans, which kind of gets us to where we are now, which is we have humans that live in space, at least for part of the time. People who live on the ISS. We have manned missions that have gone to the moon. We have probes that we're sending out past the into the Kuiper belt at this point. So we're really, the human presence in space is, at this point, like in history, contemporarily, is pretty advanced. So that is something that I know we have our civilization tree and the main tree and our biology tree. And I know that I would like to have sort of a civilization component to the Beyond, where we have some of that human exploration of space. But as within the main tree, first, if you want to explore it, it's got to be there. So we have to build the solar system before we can send humans into it.
Yeah, so this astronomy content will probably take place in the civilization tree, and it might, at least our plan right now is to unlock it a little bit like the reptiles do. So you might play a little bit of the beyond solar system section, and then you'll unlock a few more things on the tree. So it's a little bit of back and forth. But that'll most likely happen because we're so focused on just getting this part done. We'll probably finish this first, and then we'll add that astronomy stuff on. Actually.
Yeah. And then in terms of again, people are always asking about what we're going to do with aliens and things like that. And I think it's just important to remember that our main priority with the game and with the content in the game is always to be scientifically accurate and to teach people. Because of that, we're still figuring out the best ways to discuss sort of speculative fiction and futurism topics, because we want to stay really grounded and we want to base everything that we put in the game on like real science, and have it based in, you know, actual things that people are studying and have discovered. So that's something that if we do move into a futurism path at some point, it's something that we are taking very seriously, and we don't want to be we don't want to put little green men on Mars, basically.
Yeah, I don't think that would be the best fit for a game where we strive for scientific accuracy, and it hasn't been proven in the real world. So, as much as I want to believe, we do need to stick with aliens that would probably either are non-existent because we haven't proven it yet, or just anything that is anything that's real, really.
True. Now, if we
it would be microbes, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
Lots of just microbes.
So there might be some microbes, and if we do find aliens, we'll definitely add them to the game.
Yeah. The minute we find aliens, we will eat our words and we will revise our content as soon as we're contacted by Vulcans.
We'll get going on making 3D models of them. We'll keep our
just
ears
a little
peeled.
Mr. Spock on the moon.
Maybe there will be a little Easter egg. Who knows? But I do know that, like, instead of aliens, we have cool alien-like presences like Planet X in the game. We're still working on developing for that, but I'm excited that it's going to be included at all.
Yeah, yes, we have a lot of the stuff that's sort of further out in the solar system. The objects that are in the Kuiper Belt are things that we're only just discovering recently. Like Planet X, we actually don't have any. We don't have a visual on at this point. It's more theoretical, but it's called Planet. Someone just asked. It's called Planet X because they aren't sure necessarily which number of planet it could be, because there's still lots of potential for undiscovered planets further out in the solar system. It's also called Planet X because they're not entirely certain yet if it would be a full-size planet or a dwarf planet like Pluto. But it hasn't actually been sighted yet. So one of the interesting things about really far space exploration is that a lot of it is actually based on sort of mathematical and scientific projections. So even if we haven't necessarily seen a planet through a telescope, we can calculate the presence of a planet based on the orbit of other planets. So like Neptune, we actually calculated mathematically that there should be a planet there before we ever actually saw it. And that's something that we get into a little more with the traits in that later part of the universe. But a lot of it is stuff that's very recent. We've got planets in here that were only discovered in, I think, 2005, 6, 7. So really recent, up-to-date science.
Yeah, like Sedna, which we were just looking at, I guess that was only discovered, I don't know the exact date, but within the past 20 years, we found it.
Space is so cool, man. It's ever changing, ever being discovered. And one of my favorite parts that we're also sharing today is how we'll be kind of playing around with the Oort cloud and how that will be represented in the garden. Yeah,
so the Oort cloud is this it's also like Planet X. It's a hypothetical phenomena. They think it's potentially a lot of small icy rocks, like comets, that are just floating really far out from the sun. I think it starts actually far beyond Sedna, and then it goes almost 1 light year from the sun. So it's a long distance to the tail of it. But we had to figure out how to illustrate it because it's not like one specific body. So we made this particle field, and then as you zoom out, you can see that kind of particle field come together. And it actually, in pictures, we're not doing it yet, but in pictures, it has this really cool shape where it's like a sphere, but then it gets kind of thick on the middle part. So we have a little more work to do to define this this kind of particle volume.
Yeah. I think it looks really cool in the garden. I like playing around with the arrows and then like zooming in and going in close to the planets and then coming out. And it just, I'm not usually like a big space buff, especially compared to some of the members on our team, but even I think this is really cool. And I've just learned a lot about space, and I didn't even know about the Oort cloud before we started working on this expansion. I guess that's embarrassing to admit, but
It's a
No,
pretty
I mean,
new thing, yeah.
a lot of and a lot of people don't know about it, which is because it is so recent, which is one of the reasons why we really wanted to include it, because it's we're kind of all learning while we do research on this. Like I kind of knew about the Oort cloud, but there's tons of stuff that I've found out about the planets and about the orbits and about crazy space rocks and just so much stuff going on in space that I didn't know about at all. And I was a big space nerd even before this. So it's been really eye-opening. We're also we keep making more and more discoveries and observations. Like as we've been researching, there have been new discoveries and observations that I've had to go back and I've had to edit some of the descriptions for things to be more accurate. So that's been fun.
Yeah, it's crazy how much we keep discovering about space. There's really like so little that we know about the universe if you think about it in the grand scheme of things.
Just to highlight, because you have it on screen, so that zoom thing I think is new for some people. If you're on the beta, you may have seen it, but this allows you to zoom to specific kind of levels. So like inner solar system, outer solar system, Kuiper belt, and then this is a Oort cloud level. But there's also a lot of little details in there. So John Rhee, who's doing some of the garden visuals, he set it up so you can see the distance from the sun based on where your camera is. So and that's an astronomical unit, so you can get a sense of like how whatever you're looking at, how far away that is. And then he also has something called galactic coordinates, which I actually don't understand at all, but it's somehow, I think it's correct in terms of how they your position from the sun. I don't know what he's got, like a weird symbol in there. I don't know what that means. And then he also has relative velocity, which is how fast you're moving, which is kind of insane. Actually, the speed, this is kind of crazy, but the GIF that Emily's showing right now, when you're zooming in from the Oort cloud out, you're actually moving faster than the speed of light. So like light will never move as fast as the camera is in the game right now. So because that space that you're traveling in that animation is probably about 10 light years. So it's just kind of, when I understood that, it was kind of bonkers, because it's like, whoa, you're moving faster than light, but it's just a game. So those are some fun details that you'll get when you're flying around.
I think these are all just fun details in general that you'll see when you download the latest beta patch. So again, to everyone here who is a part of the beta, we're really happy to have you on with us and testing out the game. Whenever you have any feedback, we'd love to hear it in the Discord, in the beta feedback channel. And we also have a feedback form, which I will link during the Q&A session, which is coming up soon. But enough about the Beyond. Who wants to hear more about that? Am I right? No. We have a couple just community announcements and highlights to share with you before moving on to the code. I know upcoming in August, we are going to be at Play NYC. I don't know how many fans we have that are in New York or are close to New York City at all, but we'll be there, and we would love to see any fans and talk to you guys about the Beyond, nerd out about space.
Yeah. So we're our studios in New York City on the East Coast of United States, and there's a convention coming up next month, about 4 weeks in the future, called Play NYC. If anyone is in the New York area or nearby, we're going to be there. So if you're excited to come and check out the Beyond in person, we'll be demoing the latest version. Of course, if you have the beta, you're already playing it, but this will be a chance to see it in person. You can talk to some of us. We're also going to be giving away some free stuff. So players that do come and visit us, you'll get a free code for some Darwinium cubes, and we have a little bit of swag that we're giving out. But I know most players are not in New York, but if you are, we'd love to see you. So keep an eye out for more information on our social about that event.
And I wasn't planning on streaming it on Twitch or anything, but if people are interested, I'll look into streaming it on Instagram Live or is live streaming even available on TikTok? I will definitely make some TikToks of the event. So yeah, I'll be posting some stuff about it on social as well. So keep an eye out for that.
And that reminds me, we do have a Celta Singularity TikTok now, folks. So if you're on TikTok, just search us, and you can see Emily's TikToks.
I work very hard on them.
they're really great.
I try to keep it funny. Speaking of funny, we're moving on to the memes. There was a fan of ours on Reddit, Star Wars fan 1234567 who has been just cranking out memes like crazy and sharing them, and honestly, our team's been really enjoying them. So we wanted to share a couple of Star Wars fans' choice favorites of ours.
So this Star Wars person, last month they were posting polls like again and again. They kept posting like, "Hey, I made a poll. I made another poll." And we had to tell them they were spamming it, so we were like, "Don't make any more polls."
We did have to rein them in with the polls, just because some of them are starting to become a little irrelevant. But I love their meme game.
Yeah, they've transitioned fully from posting polls to posting seriously choice memes. Around like 30 of them in the last week. So we've had a lot to scroll through.
This one is my favorite. We each have one of our favorites just to share with everyone. I'll be sharing some of them on social too. But I think this is a very accurate representation of Mesozoic Valley. Yeah, sure, T-Rex may have won Mesozoic Mania, and Giganotosaurus may be bigger than T-Rex, but Archie lives on in our hearts forever, and I stan Archie.
Is Archie laughing? Archie's SpongeBob in this.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Imagine he's the creepy SpongeBob as Archie. He is the strongest. He's the best boy.
He's the best one. He's the original one. Yeah. They're all descended from Archie. So
yes.
They all are. Oh, this was my favorite. So when you sleep and you suddenly remember there's a Beyond update, a Beyond beta update. So Squidward is sleeping and then he's like, oh no, I got to download the beta. I love this one because we are working very hard to like finish the Beyond. There's still a lot of work to do, but now that we're in more open beta, we're trying to get updates for you guys. So I'm happy that you guys are excited about it, and I'm glad it's keeping you guys awake.
Yes, well, we're very happy.
It's keeping us awake. We have a lot of stuff to do on it. So.
It's keeping us very awake.
No sleep till Beyond.
No sleep.
Gotta love a good Squidward meme. And I know this final one is one of Nisa's favorites out of a bunch of them.
Yeah. I saw this and it made me immediately think about Hinaro adding 1,000 people in one day to the Android beta, and it made me laugh. So
yeah, I feel like this is a very accurate representation of that moment when we were like, here's a form, and everyone was like, here we go, and then we just like checked how many people were in the form at once, and I think it was like close to 200 when we first released it.
Like within 2 minutes of releasing the link for the first time, we had like 200 people.
It was crazy, but so awesome to see at the same time. Like we weren't expecting to see like that amount at once, but it was really great. So these were our favorite memes. Big shout out and thank you to Star Wars fan 1234567
are all their memes SpongeBob memes, or do they use other things?
I mean,
I think it was just a coincidence that these three were all SpongeBob memes. They also have a lot of Star Wars memes, and many other varied memes.
Very fitting for their name. Yeah, I mean they pulled from a lot of different sources, but mostly SpongeBob and Star Wars, and I think we're just all we're big SpongeBob fans at heart, obviously. All right, and that concludes our major segments for today's show. I think a lot of people are excited about hearing what the code could be. Should we do guesses, or do you want me to just roll right into it?
Hmm.
We are running low on time, so
Okay.
people can do their guesses, but I'm just gonna put it up right now. In five, four, three, two, and it's Juno.
Juno.
Our
Yeah.
code today is Juno. Juno, all caps, no spaces. Um, uh, just like the satellite that is heading to Jupiter to check up on him. It is Juno. That's for 20 cubes this month. And as always, for Android and Steam users, you can redeem this code by clicking on the hamburger menu in the top right of your game, and then scrolling down and clicking on the redeem code. You can type it in there. If you're an iOS user, if you have access to a computer and you can download the game on Steam, you'll have to use the cloud transfer system to redeem the code. Unfortunately, it is complicated, and we wish it wasn't that way, but it's how things have to be.
Yeah, if you do need more detailed instructions on how to get around that and how to redeem your codes on Steam and then transfer them to your iOS device, you can email us and we can help you out.
Yeah. We'll provide our email here. It's lunch@computerlunch.com.
Oh, Oort Cloud. That was a good guess. Good guess, Death Metal.
It,
Everyone guessed Sedna Solar.
I was actually thinking of having it be Oort,
Oort.
so that's a very good guess. Great minds think alike. I'll pull up the code again at the end of the show, but I think we can go into a quick Q&A session. I'll be pulling up the beta application form and the beta feedback form and posting it in the chat for you guys. So if you have any questions, ask away. We're here. We love to hear your questions. We love to answer them.
Yeah, let's see. This one's from a little while back. Luis asks, what's the point of altering space-time in the beta? Is it just to change the speed of the sim, or is it related to a reward? So right now that is just in progress. That's going to get removed in the next beta, and it's going to turn into a boost that you can speed up the orbits, but it also increases your economy. Then there's another question from earlier. Spaniard Ball asked, we really should add the Voyager probe in the game. Totally, yeah. We do want to get some of those satellites. We know the Voyager just passed through the heliosphere the past couple months, and I don't think satellites are going to be part of the initial release of the Beyond, but eventually we do want to add things like man-made satellites and some of the rovers that are on Mars.
Yeah, that would potentially be the kind of thing that we would be adding when we talk more about human exploration of space.
I just posted the link to the beta application in the chat for anyone who's interested.
Ninja Toss asked, in the end of the game, do you intend to expand beyond the solar system? If so, how far? Yeah, we do want to go further out. Right now, we are trying to get the tuning and progression nice and smooth for this part of the game. But if you recall, for the dinosaurs, we initially launched with we got to T-Rex, but then we added like 10 dinosaurs after it. So it might be something like we add more content in the future. We do, for those who are playing the beta, if you might notice the stars in the background, the stars are actually all accurately placed. We have a accurate map of those positions. So if we do decide to go out into space, we do have a pretty realistic model of the Milky Way galaxy and some of the other galaxies beyond it. So I do think it'll be fun to go out there.
My bad, I actually posted the feedback form instead of the application one.
yeah, for those, someone was saying they were having a lot of lag. So this will be reposted on YouTube later this afternoon. So yeah, you can check it out there. It just doesn't have the comments, so it's it's
Yeah.
different.
I also noticed that some people were talking about being able to um, customize the file size or the graphics for the stream. So I'll be looking into that and seeing if I can optimize it for our next stream.
Oh yeah, I think we have to. Unfortunately, I think we can't change the quality because we have to be like an affiliate or something.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah.
Oh, affiliate, man. It's not all that's cracked up to be.
Uh,
Oh, thanks, Sir H, for posting the beta application.
uh, Clenil 1121 asks, would you ever add stuff before the solar system if the James Webb scope finds out what you're looking for? Oh, is he talking about the new satellite that might go up? Like maybe it could
Yes.
see the beginning of time or something?
Yeah, so the James Webb Telescope is looking for is going to be launched soon, and that's going to be trying to research more about the origins of the universe. So, um, I'm assuming he means stuff like the Big Bang. Um, that would definitely be it would definitely be really cool to address sort of like how the universe started if we have more information on it. I'm not sure where we'd put that at the moment, but it would definitely be really cool to think about.
Uh, someone keeps asking, have we watched Dr. Stone? No, I haven't watched Dr. Stone. I guess it's like a manga series, but I'll check it out. Let us know why we should watch Dr. Stone.
Yeah, convince us.
Yeah.
Give us
Sell it.
one sentence as to why we should watch it or not.
Pitch me on your anime. This is a job interview now. Someone says, oh, sorry, the same person asked about the James Webb Telescope asks, I'm really curious if the Beyond will be updated through time as we find new information, even after we're out of beta. So we've always been trying to update stuff in the game as it changes. So, for example, we updated the design of the Spinosaurus at way after it was initially put in the game and in the official release of the Mesozoic Valley because we discovered more information about it, primarily that it was semi-aquatic. So scientists had sort of revised their models of what we thought Spinosaurus looked like and where it probably lived. And we took that and we changed its location in the garden in that part of the game, and we changed its design. So we always try to keep up with modern science and change things if they need to be changed for accuracy. Sometimes it may take a while because obviously, if it's something that's going to like really dramatically affect gameplay, that's something we need to think about more. But specifically for things like visuals, we definitely try to be as up to date as possible with that.
Snow's asking, when will we update the Fire device? I guess the Amazon Fire. Snow, is there any way, can you download it off Google Play or you have to get it off the Amazon store? I haven't updated the Amazon store for a while, so I will try to add that to our to-do list. We have a smaller player base on the Amazon store, so sometimes we don't get around to it as much, but I'll add that to our to-do list. Oh, for your brother has it on Amazon Fire. Okay. Ninja Toss has a question. Do you intend to have the Beyond giving boost to the main simulation? I'm not sure how, but perhaps when we discover the moon, then the main tree, we get Apollo or something like that. I think, yeah, we talked a little bit about the astronomy update in the future. I think there may be like some of that astronomy content may get unlocked and do boosting on the main sim. We'll be adding more crystals to the terminus chamber, so there'll be more of those that you have to unlock by playing the solar system.
I see that we also have a question about asking how we can report bugs. If you're asking about reporting bugs for the beta testing, you can join our Discord, and there's an area, or there's a channel where you can post and beyond feedback and bug fixes. If you're just asking about a general bug report, you can email us at lunch@computerlunch.com, and I believe you can also post about bugs just in the current build of the game in Discord as well.
Shall we show the cube code again?
Sure.
So for everyone, this week's cube code is Juno, after the satellite. Isn't it some Greek reference?
So yes, so in in Roman mythology, Juno is the wife of the god Jupiter, and Jupiter has a bit of a wandering eye and is known to flirt with some people who are not his wife. So NASA thought it would be funny to name the probe that they sent to check up on Jupiter Juno. So she's off to keep an eye on him and make sure he's not flirting with any of the moons.
I love it so much.
Yeah. Also worth noting, Jupiter's moons are all named after mythological figures that he fooled around on his wife with. So nobody, never let it be said that astronomers don't have a sense of humor.
They really do. Oh, there's an ice cream truck going by. We all live in Brooklyn, and there's ice cream trucks going up and down the street at all times. So if you hear a little jingle, that's what it is.
Even though it's been pouring with rain for like 24 hours.
I need my ice cream at all times.
Yeah, so Juno's the password. Again, if you're interested in getting into the Beyond beta, it's basically publicly open now. For iOS players on the iPhone, you need to follow the test flight link, which is in our beta document. You can get it on Reddit, but yeah, you can get on test flight. And then for Steam players, all you need to do is go to our Steam page, and there's a news information about how to get the right password to try the beta branch. For Android players, they do have to sign up, and it takes a little longer, but we'll get you in the beta.
I think we have time for one or two more questions. If anyone has any more questions. We are technically over time anyway, so. All right.
Okay.
Silence, man. That's my cue. All right.
Well, everyone, thank you for joining us this month. And if you're helping us with the beta, thank you so much for testing it. Again, we do have to reset progress next week, but all this is really helping to make the game even more polished when we do release it. So thanks again for participating in this process. And again, all the feedback, we've been getting tons on Discord, and we know people have been filling out the forum. So we go through that, we're reading it. So it's all getting kind of like compiled into the process. So thank you.
I see that there's a last minute reason as to why we should watch Dr. Stone, The Brilliance of Science, its post-apocalyptic setting, and the element of mystery. Interesting. I'll look it up.
Dr. Stone. Okay. I'll give it an episode.
Thanks for the suggestion, guys. A beta or otherwise.
And then we got a flat Earth request for next April Fools. We'll see. Got a ways for that.
Don't feed the flat earthers.
I think we can come up with something real good by then. We have almost a year, right?
Yeah, we got a ways.
Enough time to come up with a good April Fools. Maybe more rocks.
Maybe we'll actually release a rock expansion. No.
Yeah.
No, don't quote me on that. All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning into our July live stream. We'll see you in the first week of our August live stream. I believe that's August 6th. Yeah, so it's always great to see you guys and to hear your feedback. We really appreciate it, and you keep us going. So we'll see you next time.
Yeah, thank you everyone, and stay cellular. Bye.
Stay cellular, everybody. Bye.